For USCFootball.com, Connor Morrissette and Chris Trevino, it's time for another edition of Instant Analysis after USC's 13th fall camp practice of 2025. Chris, as always, great to be with you.
Great to be with you. Our final morning practice of fall camp. Significant because we're closer to the season.
Yes, getting much closer. Scrimmage tomorrow on Friday, and then it's mock game week, so they'll get into the afternoon practice schedule, and then away we go. Missouri State, I think 16 days away, so good things are happening. Let's start with some practice observations. Today was Thank It Construction Worker Day. USC, they thanked all of the construction workers who are working on the new football facility. They gave them donuts. They let the construction workers watch some of practice. A nice touch from USC.
They actually watched a little bit less practice than us, even though they got to go in early. But yeah, brought out donuts for them, Krispy Kreme, 16 boxes full, do the math on that. But yeah, had them gathered around, and then they brought them in, and then they did a team break with them on the break of construction. And then they all got to go back to work because there was still a building to finish. And not everyone, because there were still guys up there working. So hard work still being done at the Bloom Center.
Yeah, some of those guys who were working still got to watch a little bit. We saw them peeking from the way top of the facility. It's coming along quicker and quicker every day. It's really exciting to see. It's nice that USC said thank you to those construction workers. And then one funny moment, Lincoln Riley, he called over one of the construction workers. He had them return a punt. At first, the first two punts that the guy tried to field, they weren't good. They were shanks. Then the third punt, he didn't get it, but then he went over to return a kick, and he got that. He got a nice round of applause. But it was nice to see Lincoln Riley honor a construction worker in that way by giving a guy a chance at some returns.
I want to make the argument that the third punt was also a bad punt because he had to go the opposite side of the field to go get it, and it was short, and he wouldn't have touched
jeans.
it. And he's in jeans, yeah, wearing hard boots, So I'm gonna say all three of those punts were bad punts, and then the only good kick he got was from the machine on the kickoff return, and he fielded it pretty clean. I don't know if they have a new returner in the mix with that guy, but it was definitely a good attempt by him. And a little bit of fun there to start practice off for Lincoln Riley.
I don't think that guy will unseat Mekhi Lemon. That's pretty safe to say. Okay, so what we saw, actual football stuff now. So Harry Dalton, the true freshman running back, he was with the returners. I believe that was the first time we've seen him with the returners.
I'm pretty sure that is the first time, and obviously he's someone who's really explosive and can do a lot of good things with the ball in his hands, so no surprise that he's getting a shot at kick return. I'm still a little surprised we haven't seen Tanu Kynes, the guy blessed with 10-3 kind of speed, 10-4 speed. So maybe we'll see that in the future. But Harry Dalton, the first freshman, or one of the first freshmen to get a crack over there at kick return, it was him working with the other running backs, Eli and Wayman.
And then as we discussed yesterday, Walter Matthews, it looks like he's making the transition over to offensive line. At the beginning of practice, some of the receivers and quarterbacks and tight ends split into a group, and Walter Matthews was not in the tight end group. He was over with the offensive line. He was working with some of the analysts. It looks like they're trying to get him up to speed there. I don't think either of us expect him to play much on the offensive line this season, if at all, but that transition to him going to the offensive line without getting it confirmed by Lincoln Riley, yeah, it seems like that's in motion, and I think he's going to be an offensive lineman this year.
We'll have more in the war room for Friday, but yeah, definitely, as we mentioned last time, didn't do any drills, didn't do the drill itself, was holding the pads and being like a blocker for the O-line group, but today actually participated and did the drills like the offensive lineman, 2 separate drills, including run blocking, a little bit of power striking, so see him got coached up a little bit on that and the technique. So yeah, definitely seems like he's in the full swing. We'll know it's true when he gets that number change. We're still rocking the 23 now. Needs an O-line number if that's going to be a permanent move.
Yep, that's a good point. Braylon Shelby was back at practice today, the edge rusher, after missing yesterday, so that was a good sign. Still one other defensive lineman who was out today working to confirm that injury. Let's talk about what we heard from Danton Lynn, the defensive coordinator, who spoke with us after practice. So Keyshawn Silver, who was limited in the spring, is now full go for fall camp. And I asked Lynn, Devin Tompkins is obviously emerging in the middle, but who else is emerging there? And the one name he gave was Keyshawn Silver. I continue to think that those two guys are going to be the starters in the middle. Devin Tompkins at one spot, Keyshawn Silver at the other spot. And that's just how they drew it up after getting Silver from Kentucky in the portal.
And that's a positive thing. You don't want to hear Danton Lynn said, well, Kobe Pepe, Jamal Jarrett, maybe a freshman. No, you want Keyshawn Silver is the guy who is emerging. He was the #1 transfer defensive tackle in the 24/7 Sports transfer portal rankings. That's what you want. You want him to be solidified as that quote-unquote starting nose tackle alongside, as we presume, Devin Tompkins. So that is a positive sign for me. Obviously, as Silver missed all of spring, with that, recovering from that injury, wasn't on the field, obviously was still in meetings and stuff, but that is a good sign. And if you're a USC fan, that should make you feel a little bit happy that you're going to get Keyshawn Silver as the guy, as we expect him to be in the middle, and why he was on the most important in our top 10. So we'll see what happens in the re-rank, but that's a very good sign for USC and USC's defense.
Totally agree. Things can change, but let's run through the defensive depth chart really quick. I think we have a good idea about some of these starters. So in the middle, like I said, Tompkins and Silver. Edge rushers, Anthony Lucas and Cameron Fountain. Do you agree with me on that?
I would agree with you there. I mean, obviously, I think it's going to be like a quasi three-headed starter with Braylon Shelby in there as well. But I would expect Fountain and Lucas, if I had to put money on it, would be the guys rolling out there from Missouri State.
Lincoln Riley all but confirmed that Eric Gentry and Desmond Stevens are the starting linebackers. That's what we expected. Kamari Ramsey will start at safety. We expect Bishop Fitzgerald to start at safety next to him. And then that leaves nickel, another linebacker, the two corners. Danton Lynn was asked today what's going on at the cornerback spot, because when we spoke to him last week, he said no one is separating at the cornerback spot. We have really good depth. We like what's going on, but no one is separating. And he said today that no one has continued to separate. I still feel like DeCarlos Nicholson has a good chance to start. Alex Graham at nickel, I think, has a good chance to start. And then that other corner spot, maybe it's DJ Harvey, but he might factor in at nickel. Maybe it's one of the young guys, Marcellus Williams, Braylon Conley. I think those are the spots we still are figuring out. Nickel, although we feel good about Graham, that could be Harvey potentially. And then the two cornerback spots, those are the question marks heading into the scrimmage.
Good news is, you have the scrimmage tomorrow. Someone could separate themselves, and obviously with two easier games with Missouri State and Georgia Southern, you can treat it like preseason. You can rotate those guys in there to see who fits. But in terms of the cornerbacks, I feel strongly that DeCarlos Nicholson is going to be one of those guys. DJ Harvey, I would be shocked if he wasn't at least in the rotation, as a factor for that position. And then Chasen Johnson, obviously, he's been a little bit banged up. Seems like he's getting healthier. We saw him today fully dressed out. He did have a knee brace on his left knee, so that'd be something to monitor. But again, we'll see more in the scrimmage. But I would say those three make up your top group in that cornerback room. And then you have the versatility with DJ Harvey as a potential slot guy and outside guy. Just kind of hoping for the best. Well, not hoping for the best, with losing Prophet, a versatile guy, but they have enough depth to get through the first half of the season, and we feel pretty strongly about that three-headed monster. Just need to get Chasen a little bit more healthy.
Two other things I want to hit on Lynn's comments. I asked him about Tamir Robinson and said, what's his best position? We're still figuring out if he's a Mike, if he's a Will, and Lynn brought up that Tamir Robinson and Jaden Walker are both taking reps at both spots. If the season started tomorrow, do you have any idea who that third linebacker would be? I lean Jaden Walker because he's been healthy, because he knows the defense a little bit better than Robinson as a newer player, but I think that's a competition that's still ongoing.
Are we not looking at Elijah Newby in this situation? Because Elijah Newby, we've seen, we're going by drill hierarchy, he's been up there with the twos at times, so I think Elijah Newby's got to be thrown in there. If you had made me pick one, I'd probably go Jaden Walker or Elijah Newby. I kind of go one of those two, probably leaning more towards Walker. Like you had a really good spring camp. Looks great coming out of practice and stuff, moving really well. So I would say Jaden Walker.
The position change for Newby still kind of irks me, where he was a linebacker, then a defensive end, then a linebacker. I do think he'll play a little bit this year, but I need to see it before I believe it with him. But you're right, he has been taking the drills. He's been in the first couple groups with the drills, so yeah, that's definitely something to monitor, and he's a guy I'm going to be watching closely on Friday. And then Kennedy Urlacher, the safety, I don't think he's a starter necessarily, but I think it's pretty clear he's going to play. Danton Lynn said he picked up the defense really quickly. He's only a second-year guy, so he's still a younger guy picking that up fast. And we just continue to hear really good things about Kennedy Urlacher. He's been one of the guys who's probably been talked about the most, I'd say.
That was kind of the thing with him. Like, he didn't really know where he was going to play and how quickly he was going to pick up the defense. But obviously with those bloodlines with his father, Brian Urlacher, the Hall of Fame linebacker, it made sense that it was going to happen sooner rather than later, and it sounds like that sooner is now. Yeah, I figure he's going to be involved in some capacity with this defense. Special teams, definitely. That's where he made his mark at Notre Dame last season, so see that role expanded. But yeah, I think they're going to find a way to get number 28 on the field.
Yep, I totally agree. We also heard from special teams coach Ryan Doherty today. He talked about how it looks like Caden Chittenden's probably the kicker. That's expected, the UNLV transfer, but he didn't want to name a starter just yet. Sam Johnson, he said, is separating himself at punter. That's the Valparaiso transfer, and that was expected. But Ryan Sayeri is pushing both guys. He's the 5-star kicker from Chaminade High, who's in his second year, I think, who punted in the bowl game last year when Chaplicki got hurt, so he can punt and kick. He might kick off. That's still an open competition, it sounds like. So there's a little punter-kicker update for you. And I asked Doherty, too, about Makai Lemon returning kicks. It still sounds like he'll be the punt returner and the kick returner. They want to get the ball in Makai's hands as much as possible.
Yeah, and that's something we talked about last week. We expect him to be kind of the primary kick returner. We'll see what happens with punt return, but he's just so dang good with the ball in his hands, so it makes sense why they want to do that. Obviously, fans are going to be like, no, you got to protect him. He doesn't need to do punt, save him from taking hits, what have you. So that's going to be a storyline as we move through the season, and maybe someone will emerge to kind of take the pressure off of him. But right now, it seems like Lemon full go for both of those spots. And yeah, the kicker stuff is interesting. I know they really like Ryan Sayeri, as you mentioned, guy who can literally be a starter at punter or kickoff or the primary field goal kicker. So I'd be shocked if it was not Caden Chittenden, the UNLV transfer and freshman All-American who tied the school record for 26 makes last season. I'd be shocked if he wasn't the starter. But as Lincoln Riley noted, he was banged up coming to fall camp, and it still seems like he's working his way back. So Sayeri has gotten a lot of opportunity in camp to get all the reps at kicker. So I think we'll still see him a little bit early in the season, but yeah, I would be shocked if it was anyone but Caden starting as the place kicker.
It might be early for some people for us to be talking about a redshirt watch, but Ryan Doherty named 3 true freshmen who he likes on special teams, so these guys may not end up redshirting this year. That was true freshman linebacker Matai Tagoai, that was true freshman wide receiver Tanook Hines, and true freshman wide receiver Corey Sims. 3 of the most athletic guys in that class. Not surprising that they're earning a role on special teams so far.
Freshmen, especially those early enrollees, they are the lifeblood for special teams coordinator and Ryan Doherty. You want to pluck those guys out, see if they can make a name for themselves. Look, you're not going to be getting a lot of offensive, defensive reps. You know where you can get a lot of reps? Special teams. That's where you can make your mark. Elijah Newby played on special teams. Christian Pierce made his mark as a freshman as a special teams player. Those guys will have bigger roles as well. Jane Walker, I expect to have a bigger role in special teams. But those freshmen, nice to hear. Some guys are emerging, especially defensive backs. I know we talked a little bit of those freshman guys up in the spring. But yeah, Corey Sims, Tanook Hines, Ty Tagoai. Nice to get some shine on those freshmen because special teams is very important, and especially for the freshmen, that's where they can cut their teeth in college.
Yeah, absolutely. We heard from a few defensive players today. I interviewed Keyshawn Silver. Danton Lynn's talked a lot about how Silver has a professional mindset, and that's really gotten through to the team. So I asked Silver, what does that look like? He said it's being on time, and then it's knowing the whole defense. It's not just knowing that interior defensive line spot. He wants to know what everyone's doing on a certain play, and you can just see his experience showing through with that answer. Silver also got engaged in the offseason. I believe he proposed on the beach here in LA before USC Media Day just a few weeks back, so he's in really good spirits about that. He's no longer limited at practice, so he's out there, he's playing, he seems to be in a good headspace, and is a guy who we both expect to be a big contributor.
Did he say how many carats the ring was?
He did not.
I just want to know if Big Man bought a big carat ring. That's all I wanted to know. But yeah, it's great to hear that he wants to take in the whole defense. He's not just, the big guy in the middle that just plugs a block. He wants to be an all-expansive defensive lineman and know where everyone's. So, again, another great sign for USC fans to hear that for Keyshawn Silver as he projects to be their, I don't want to say savior in the middle, but the big body in the middle. They missed that guy last year and, improve run defense, help the linebackers get more pressure, help the defensive ends get more pressure. So he has the ability to change the entire outlook of the whole defense just by playing well in the middle. So say a little prayer for Keyshawn Silver that he is, in fact, the answer at nose tackle.
He's definitely confident, which I think is a good sign. You heard
engaged and confident.
Yes, absolutely. You heard from some of the other defensive players. Anything stand out from those conversations?
Not super standing out. I mean, I talked to Devin Tompkins a little bit. I asked him, "Are you in the point of the season or fall camp where you're done hitting each other?" He's like, "Yeah, but it's important to hit each other in fall camp, but they're eager to hit somebody else." And obviously that somebody else will be Missouri State up first. I asked Kennedy Urlacher about, obviously, how do you pick up the defense so fast? Is it just like your bloodlines, obviously your father? He was like, He actually gave a lot of credit to Denton Lynn and Doug Belk for how they've been working with him and having him hone in on the defense. So obviously having a Hall of Fame father helps, but he did give a lot of credit to his coaches for, helping him get up to speed quickly.
We will have instant analysis next week. I think this is it for this week, Chris, because we won't do one after the scrimmage. We're sworn to secrecy, but we'll definitely learn some things on Friday, so excited to take that in. Any final thoughts from you? If not, we're off until next Tuesday.
What if we just do an instant analysis but that remove the sound and they can figure out what we're saying?
The lip readers would make a killing doing that.
Yeah, that's all I got. Excited to see the scrimmage tomorrow. And we'll probably be doing a chat somewhere on the Peristyle very soon. And then we got some depth charts coming out. We got a lot of stuff. Season's almost here, Connor.
People should subscribe because we do these Q&As. I felt like we had a good gauge of the team last year. A lot of what we said ended up coming true. So definitely subscribe over at uscfootball.com. But like I said, we'll be back Tuesday. He's Chris Trevino. I'm Connor Morrissette. This has been Instant Analysis. We'll see you next time.